Before Rome became legend, before emperors carved their names into history, there was only dust, tribes, and a dream of something greater. What follows is not merely the tale of an empire, but the story of how ambitions shaped the world. Rome, a name that echoes across history. From a small village on the banks of the Tiber River, it rose to dominate the Mediterranean world, creating an empire that lasted for centuries. But like every empire, Rome too fell, collapsing under the weight of its own greatness. Today we'll explore the fascinating journey of the rise and fall of Rome. Legend says Rome was founded in 753 BC by Romulus and Remus, twin brothers raised by a she-wolf. Whether myth or reality, what is certain is that Rome began as a monarchy, then transitioned into a republic around 509 BC after overthrowing its kings. The republic's strength lay in its unique political system, a senate made up of patricians, Rome's elite, and assemblies where ordinary citizens, or plebeians, had a voice. Rome valued discipline, law, and military service, which became the backbone of its expansion. Step by step, Rome grew from a city into a regional power, conquering neighboring territories. Rome's rise was fueled by military innovation. Roman legions, highly trained and disciplined, could adapt to any battlefield. Unlike other armies, Rome rewarded loyalty and integrated conquered peoples, offering citizenship and rights, a strategy that built unity across its empire. By the 3rd century BC, Rome clashed with its greatest rival, Carthage. The Punic Wars became legendary, especially when the Carthaginian general Hannibal crossed the Alps with elephants to attack Italy. Yet Rome endured, eventually destroying Carthage in 146 BC and claiming dominance over the Mediterranean. Soon, Rome's influence spread from Spain to Greece, from North Africa to the Middle East. Wealth, slaves, and culture poured into Rome, transforming it into the most powerful state the ancient world had ever seen. In 27 BC, the Republic gave way to the Empire, with Augustus as its first emperor. Under his rule, Rome entered the Pax Romana, a golden age of peace and prosperity that lasted over 2 centuries. Rome's achievements were extraordinary. They built roads stretching over 250,000 miles, aqueducts that carried fresh water into cities, grand amphitheaters like the Colosseum, and monumental forums that became centers of political life. Roman law became the foundation of Western legal systems. Latin, their language, would shape countless tongues, including Spanish, French, and Italian. This was the height of Rome, an empire of over 70 million people, controlling vast lands and influencing nearly every aspect of modern civilization. But greatness always comes with a price. By the 3rd century AD, Rome began to face deep internal problems. Political corruption weakened the empire as emperors rose and fell at a dizzying pace, some reigning for only months before being assassinated. The once disciplined Roman legions became divided, often loyal to generals rather than the empire itself. Economically, Rome struggled with inflation, heavy taxation, and reliance on slave labor. As wealth concentrated in the hands of elites, ordinary citizens grew restless. At the same time, the empire faced constant invasions from Germanic tribes and Persians at its borders. The empire was becoming too vast, too fragile to manage. In 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian tried to save Rome by dividing the empire into East and West. While the Eastern Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, thrived in Constantinople, the Western Empire continued to weaken. In 313 AD, Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity, reshaping the empire's culture and religion forever. But even with reforms, Rome could not withstand external pressures. By the 5th century, waves of invasions by the Visigoths, Vandals, and Huns shook the empire. In 410 AD, the unthinkable happened. Rome itself was sacked. Finally, in 476 AD, the last Roman emperor of the West, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer. The Western Roman Empire was no more. Rome's greatness also depended on its rulers, and not all were Augustus. Some emperors strengthened Rome, while others nearly destroyed it. Tiberius was cautious but unpopular. Caligula was infamous for cruelty and extravagance. Nero, accused of fiddling while Rome burned, persecuted Christians and drained the treasury. Yet Rome also had wise leaders. Vespasian stabilized the empire after Nero. Trajan expanded Rome to its greatest territorial extent, conquering Dacia. Hadrian consolidated and built Hadrian's Wall in Britain. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, embodied Stoic wisdom, but spent much of his reign defending the empire's borders. The death of Marcus Aurelius in 180 CE marked a turning point. His son Commodus was disastrous, corrupt, vain, and obsessed with gladiatorial combat. Many historians see his reign as the beginning of Rome's long decline. In summary, the tale of Rome begins in myth, with Romulus founding the city in 753 BCE. From kings, it became a republic built on law, discipline, and the power of its legions. Rome crushed rivals like Carthage in the Punic Wars and spread across the Mediterranean. But wealth, corruption, and power-hungry generals tore the republic apart. Julius Caesar rose as a dictator, but was assassinated, paving the way for Augustus to become Rome's first emperor. The empire entered its golden age. Roads, aqueducts, colosseums, and 2 centuries of relative peace. At its height, Rome ruled from Britain to the Middle East. Yet greed, weak emperors, civil wars, and barbarian invasions eroded its strength. In 410 CE, the Visigoths sacked the city, and by 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire collapsed. Rome's empire died, but its laws, language, and culture continue to shape the world. Rome fell, but its legacy is eternal. And so ended one of the greatest civilizations in human history. But Rome never truly disappeared. Its laws, its architecture, its roads, its language, all left an indelible mark on the world. The story of Rome is not just about power and conquest. It's about resilience, ambition, and the fragility of even the mightiest empires. From its legendary founding to its dramatic collapse, Rome's legacy still shapes our lives today. This was the rise and fall of Rome. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more epic stories from the past.